Okay guys, I wanted to invite you to a special video today. This is a pretty awesome video because I have a special guest with us here today. This is my father-in-law Jeff, and he has a really cool hobby. And this hobby, including many other electrical hobbies like solar and batteries, things like that, he loves 12-volt compressor fridges. And some of these are mine, but most of them are his. And he's made me fall in love with this same hobby. So what we want to do is kind of just go briefly over each one of these models of fridges and, you know, kind of what he likes about them. And we're going to talk about efficiency, we're going to talk about weight, we're going to talk about pros and cons. So get ready for an awesome video about most of the types of fridges you can buy on the market today.
Hey, since I have accumulated quite a few of these portable compressor fridges in the last year, I thought it might be a nice idea to talk about them. I see people with a lot of problems with battery dropout voltage. Their power cords don't stick very well in the cigarette lighter plug, and a few things like that. Some people get a little confused as to whether it's a fridge or a freezer or both. They wonder if it's both at the same time. And so maybe it would be a good idea to just kind of go over this collection of portable compressor fridges and let people know what we have discovered and learn for ourselves. And maybe that'll help somebody with their decision.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like you saw in the intro, we have quite a few fridges that we're going to go through. There's kind of different styles here. Looking at the one starting here, these are all chest style compressor fridges. And then as we move here, they're more of the plastic built ones. And they all have their advantages. And we're just going to go over each model. And we're going to start with the first compressor fridge Jeff bought over 12 years ago, right?
Yes. That was back when there wasn't a lot of selection like there is today. I ended up buying this Engel MT45. They cost quite a bit of money now, but it's been a good fridge, and I've used it camping a couple times a year. It does not have a temperature dial. I think they have put temperature dials on these now, but this has been a good fridge. Just one big compartment. As you can see, I've got a Velcroed thermometer right there. I also recommend that everybody have some kind of a small fridge thermometer, cheap, that they can keep inside. That way they know what's going on in their fridge, and they at least know how it compares with the display reading.
And I'll include a link to this thermometer in the description of the video so you guys can buy one.
Yes. Okay. Now, after many years of just having one fridge, I decided I wanted a smaller fridge. And that's when I bought a couple of those Indel-Bs that are behind Jason, and we'll get to those in a minute. Then all of a sudden I started seeing all these other fridges coming into the market, and they were less money. So it got me intrigued to buy them and try them out. Let's go around the circle here with all these fridges. We've lined them up from the biggest to the smallest.
Yep, all the way.
The most expensive one here is probably this Engel. The second most expensive one is that ICECO VL45, and then the Indel-Bs.
Yeah, and then the Indel-Bs, which are these two here.
But if you're looking for a fridge, fairly large family, one of these two chest style right here, 65 quarts, approximately, I call them 60 liters. These are very similar, two different companies. They have an LED light, but you have to turn it on with the button there. All of these fridges are anywhere from around 8 watts of power consumption up to around 12 or 13 watts, 8 watts being the smaller ones over there, 12 and 13 with these bigger ones. So you don't get a lot of improvement in power consumption when you go to a fridge that's half the size. It's not like half the power, but it is a little bit better.
Yeah, so you're saying small ones are about 8 watts. Even the larger ones, these massive ones, they only use a couple more watts on average. So, you know, if you have the space, you almost need to go with a bigger one because you're not going to save that much more power.
Yes. Now this ICECO VL45 is probably one of my most favorite fridges. It has the Danfoss Zokop, I guess it's Zokop now, BD35F compressor. This one here, I actually get around 8 to 9 watts on that. Now, keep in mind, all of my testing has been done in the same environment down in my basement, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're a comparison to each other, but as you use your fridge in the real world, you're gonna, depending on how warm it is, you'll get different results. But my intent was to compare these against each other in the same environment to find out which ones performed a little better than others. This ICECO is just really nice, big and heavy. It's got the AC adapter built into it as part of the compressor, so either AC or the DC plug on that. This fridge is just really fairly rugged.
Yeah, that's a pretty thick metal gauge on the outside, and it's super thick.
Yes. This one, yeah, I get the efficiency a little bit better with this ICECO with these thick walls with the 12-year-old Engel. They're pretty much the same, and that one's got the Sawa Fuji compressor.
This one does have a really cool, it's like a magnetic light there that turns on when you open the lid.
Oh, that's right. I didn't realize that. So no button or switch. The light just comes on when you lift up the lid. That's pretty cool. Forgot about that. So that brings up this one, Jason. This is kind of like your, this is a roto-molded cooler slash fridge. It's a unique fridge in that you can put ice in here if you want to treat it as a regular ice cooler. So you got the full length built-in hinge. It's very durable. Nothing to really break on it. Good seal. I like the fact that the hinges, they're I mean, not the hinges, but the handles here are integrated. So nothing to break off there, and very durable.
Yeah, you can actually, like, I did a review earlier on my channel. Mine's tan, his is white, and you can use it as a seat. Like, that's how durable this is. You can sit on it. I mean, I don't recommend standing on it, but sitting on it, you know, it's a comfortable seat. It's got cup holders.
Moving down the line here, here's another chest fridge, Ausranvik. What do they call this? Part number on this, I can't remember, but it's around 48 quarts. Pretty good size fridge. Again, I love chest style versus the ones with the divider. Those are not my favorite. I like having the whole compartment the same temperature, since the evaporator coil will run all the way around the perimeter here, as it does on all of those. Mm-hmm. On here, the evaporator coils just run around here, and so this area just doesn't get as cool as this area. In fact, with them putting up that divider wall that high, there just isn't very much cool air spilling over there, and you have 25 degrees warmer in that compartment than in the main compartment.
So if you set this at 25 degrees in this main compartment, which is what the button indicates is 25 degrees, what is that going to be over there?
25 degrees warmer.
Okay.
50.
Yeah, 50.
Yeah, but it's just one control. It's not a fridge and freezer both. Personally, I think you just use it as a fridge, and you can put other items over here that don't need to be as cold.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah.
So you do kind of lose a little bit of capacity with your refrigerator with this versus this one here.
A chest style. That's kind of why you lean more to the chest style.
Both of them will consume about the same amount of power, and this is not really usable to me, personally.
Awesome. So, SMETA, let's maybe talk about the size on that one. I don't know if we got the size on this one.
This one comes in at around 50 quarts. This 40 quarts over here and 10 quarts there.
Okay.
Better handles, I will say that.
Oh yeah, versus the Ausranvik.
This is kind of my only beef with this fridge here, is that these handles with 2 screws, I wouldn't recommend loading that thing up and carrying it out.
When it's full?
Yeah, and counting on those hinges. I just worry about those hinges. You notice that some of these others have got big old beefy metal handles or built-in roto-molded. And this one's got the little plastic one. I actually think this Ausranvik, even though it looks to be kind of the cheapest built one, it has the best control panel out of all of these.
Yeah, it doesn't have a voltmeter on it?
Yeah, there's a voltmeter on here. I wish all of these had voltmeters, because that's a major problem that everybody has with their batteries in their cars, and with these battery protection scheme that they put in these fridges. I always just set that to the lowest setting and make it my responsibility to know what my battery voltage is. And the reason that I think that's kind of a bogus feature in these fridges, and I know their intent is to help the customer not drive their battery so low that they can't start their car. But you lose a lot of power in the cabling, wiring, going from the battery to the cigarette plug. You lose 0.3 of a volt in the cigarette plug, and then you lose a little bit of voltage in the gauge of wire from there to the fridge. So you're talking anywhere from 1 volt on well-placed cigarette lighter plugs in cars, to as much as I've seen over 2 volt drop in my son's Chrysler minivan from what the battery voltage says and what the voltage was at the outlet with the fridge running. 2 volt drop.
Yeah.
So what's the point of having a low voltage battery dropout when you're just struggling with trying to keep the fridge running, as it is?
Yeah.
With that power drop.
We do have some suggestions, some tips to get that working, because you can see, I mean, he wouldn't have all these fridges if he couldn't get a way to get them to work really well. So we got some tips at the end of the video, so stick around for that for sure.
Yeah. So anyhow, I do like the control panel on this Ausranvik. It had a voltmeter on there, and it has lots of ability to adjust things like hysteresis. What I mean by hysteresis is you set the temperature to 35 degrees. You can set how high above that the compressor goes back on. The compressor all tends to go back off when the display says what the set point is. But that brings me to another scenario, is that not all of these meter displays represent what the actual temperature is inside the fridge. That's why you need to have yourself a thermometer and just get kind of an idea on what's really going on inside the fridge.
Like, for example, you set it to 35. What's really inside the fridge? What temperature is really going on in there?
Exactly. A couple of these allow you to tweak the display, put an offset in there and bring it down to what you actually... But the sensors are not right inside the fridge. The sensors are on the other side of the wall. Mm-hmm. So the sensor isn't picking up exactly the temperature of what's in the fridge, and the manufacturer tries to compensate, through software and other things and they do a pretty good job. These plastic ones.
Okay, yeah. So we're in the plastic stage here. The SMETA is different because it opens like a chest. See how maybe you can talk a little bit about that, the opening on the long side versus opening on the short side.
Notice how tall that is. And we're even a couple inches lower here, but
on the camera you can't really tell. It's probably about 4 to 5 inches shorter. This fridge is 4 to 5 inches shorter, yet the lid goes about 4 inches taller than opening on the long end.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that if you're getting one of these that is the 50 quart. So you'll see this dark stripe will be a little taller. That this lid will be up all the higher. This these two right here, Indel-B's, this 30 quart, up 30 quart, 40 quart.
And what's the different? How can you tell they're different sizes? Or
It's like it's the same frame, same chassis. You just add a little divider in there to make it taller and give it more capacity.
yeah, so if you had a 50 quart, it would just have a bigger black section on it, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, it would.
cool.
And the lid would be,
Yeah, even taller.
These Indel-B's use Zokop compressors. They're pretty good quality. Now, I will say they offer a version that, you notice this just has one plug, so it's DC only. Whereas this one over here, it's got the AC and the DC plug. There's your low, medium, and high battery protection. You notice
Okay. It's nice as a switch on that one.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the whole combination of buttons down to get into that.
Yep.
But this one was a little less money and lighter weight. It's actually got a different Zokop compressor. This one weighs 25 pounds. This is probably around 30 something. 35, I think.
And these were one of the first ones you got when this whole thing started, right? I remember one of these was your first.
Yeah, being familiar with the Engel and its reputation, and it seemed like Dometic and some of the other expensive fridges, they were all using Danfoss compressors. Indel-B was less money, and so I thought, why not? But then I discovered all these even less expensive fridges.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Like, I know our ARB and Dometic, they've all been around a very long time, so you're getting there. But do you feel like these are worth the money? Buying a less expensive fridge?
Yeah, no doubt you're going to get what you pay for, as far as quality goes and whatever. But I don't know how many people want to run out and spend $800 on a fridge. Maybe they'll take their chances on a $300 or $400 one.
Yeah.
$250 one.
And with these ones being around that same price point, the cheaper fridges, I mean, do you feel that they've been worth it to buy and use?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I wanted a small fridge to throw on the back seat of the car.
Yeah, so what model is this one?
There is about 3 or 4 different names that go on this. I think they're all made by Alpicool. C22, I think, is the model.
Okay.
But they're the same unit. If it says LG compressor and It's got the little ice tray right there and the same display, it's made by the same company.
Yeah, so I really like this one because it has the digital buttons and readouts, and it's really lightweight. Like, this is if you wanted something that was easy to carry around and just for like a barbecue or something, this is just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Typically, if you've got a fully charged battery in your car, you can leave one of these overnight in your car and be able to start your car the next day. Like if you're going into the hotel and don't want to lug your fridge into the hotel, just leave it in the car, and your car should start fine in the morning. Especially since you've been driving all day or traveling, the battery should be fully charged, and you can only maybe take 12, 15 amp hours out of your battery. User responsibility to keep track of your battery voltage.
We still have one fridge left. Yeah. It's last, but it's not the least. This is called the ICECO Go 20. This one's a little bit unique because this is the only fridge in this lineup here that is a fridge and a freezer at the same time. So I took this one on a road trip to Disneyland, and it just worked perfect for taking what we wanted to get there. And how it works is if you have the divider in there, it works as a fridge on this side and a freezer on that side, and it will only let you drop that left side lower than the right. And so what's kind of cool is it has 2 display options here that show on the fridge, and so you can set one side to 10 and one side to 30 if you wanted. And as they must have some sort of valve in here because it will keep that smaller side colder, and it will hold off on this larger side. And then if you just want to run it as a regular fridge, you just take that out and it disables one of the touch screens, and then it's just a regular fridge. So it's kind of just like that one there. But this one's also cool because it has a Bluetooth app, so you can connect it to your phone. I mean, if you really wanted to. I did use it while traveling in the car because it was in the back and I could see the temperature. That was kind of cool without looking at the fridge. But yeah, I mean, this one looks really, really good. But it looks so good that you're kind of scared to scratch it.
Wait a minute, I don't think my lid goes down that slow.
Yeah, it does have a slow close lid, which is kind of cool.
Jason, I should probably mention,
yeah.
People probably wonder what this ice cube tray is. I haven't really tested it, but I did notice the temperature was a few degrees cooler than what this was. I don't think, if you're running this as a refrigerator, I don't think you can freeze ice. I think this will become an ice tray if you're using this as a freezer.
Okay.
So you basically, it's still, so this part right here, I don't know, maybe you can put some string cheese in there.
Yeah, string. Nice. Okay, so at the end of the video, I'm going to have kind of like a spreadsheet on screen that will talk about, you know, the model, the size, the weight, the average power consumption, and the cost, and where you can buy it. Because all these, you know, everyone has a different use for how they're going to use their fridge, so someone might be interested in a different model than the other. So yeah, I'll have all that in the video at the end, so just stick around. I think next what we want to talk about is maybe, you know, I get it all the time in my other videos. People run into issues with the fridge not powering up, or the 12-volt socket. That is such a horrible thing. The 12-volt socket, we hate the 12-volt socket because you lose voltage across it and it pops out so easy. So we're kind of going to show a little bit of how we got around that, but we'll go ahead and jump in some tips and stuff on how to run these fridges the best. Okay, so maybe let's talk about how these fridges connect up to your car.
Jason, we're kind of stuck with a cigarette lighter plug in our cars. It's a horrible 12-volt connector. It was made for lighting cigarettes, and we're just kind of stuck with it. And one of the problems that occurs is that when you push this into the socket, it's the ground side, it's the tension on that connection right there that holds it firm in place. Meanwhile, there's some springiness in the tip, and if this is really stiff, eventually your plug will just work its way out and you'll lose connection. And
driving down the highway.
Yes. I did come across some 12-volt connectors on Amazon. You can see the
we'll include these in the description, by the way.
Yeah. I thought this was a little better cigarette plug than that. I untwist that. There's a fuse in there, but there was 2 springs. I took out one of the springs. It doesn't need to have that kind of stiffness because that'll just push it out. So my complaint with these cigarette lighter plugs is that they just don't hold in the socket real well. And for equipment that we make, that we power these things outside of the car, such as this battery box right here, you'll notice that we have cut off the connector, and in the electronics community there are these Anderson Powerpole connectors, and that's what we have on our battery box, and they just fit in here really nice and don't fall out like the cigarette lighter plug does.
You're just saying there's another way to power this other than plugging into your car while you're camping. Maybe talk a little bit more about this box, and if people are interested, we can maybe talk about some of this in the future. But what's the technology in that versus? I mean, this is brand new for you, right?
Yeah, this is something I've been building the last couple of days. It's a home project, and I still haven't got the hinges on the lid here. Just painted this today. But it's got a lithium phosphate battery in there. It's a 50 amp hour. And you can see I haven't quite wired it up. And I'll get a voltage meter, current meter. all my output ports, including an SAE, because all my solar connections are SAE, and just a switch here to turn this on and off.
Very cool.
So just basically a power source that's...
A portable power source that you plan to run off solar, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Very cool.
And keep it charged up.
Yeah.
So, you know, one other thing that people may not be aware of, this connector here.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, all of these fridges, even though they're different brand, they all use the same connector. It looks very similar to a Dometic, but the Dometic isn't quite exactly the same. I mean, it will work, but you can tell that there's different friction in plugging it in and out.
Okay.
But all these other fridges, they all use the same connector.
So maybe talk about this, because they can't buy this cable, right? They have to make this cable, right? This part here.
Oh, yeah. If you go get the this brand here from Amazon, this actually is 14 gauge wire. So you get the 14 gauge wire. I just happened to buy I think it was 12 feet, maybe it's 16 feet, I don't know. And it had two plugs on, one on each end.
So it's technically like an extender of a 12 volt socket.
Right.
Okay.
And I just cut it in half, and then just took one of these cables here.
The not so good ones, yeah.
Cut that off and soldered the wires onto the end so that I bring the cable. Well, Jason actually put some Anderson Powerpole connections at the back of his rig, and so he doesn't connect in with the cigarette lighter plug.
Yeah, and I'll put a video or a clip on the screen of a picture of that. But basically, I put Anderson Powerpole at the back of my 4Runner. So, and I ran 8 gauge wire from the battery, so I get a little bit of battery voltage drop. But if you can get rid of the 12 volt socket out of your setup, so if you got Anderson Powerpole in your car and then you have a battery box, you know, you don't even have to worry about the 12 volt connector anymore. One other thing that I just thought of is, what if you turn your key off and your 12 volt socket dies? Because there are cars out there, like my Toyota 4Runner. I turned the key off and my socket's lost power. I have a video of that on my channel, but your F-150, doesn't it stay on?
Yes, yeah, that vehicle, just the sockets stay powered all the time, which is good because I'm camping all the time.
Yeah.
And just don't want to have to hassle with that. I noticed that Chrysler, some of the Chrysler products, the Durango and others, they have a fuse in there that has two positions. You slide the fuse over, and one of the outlets in the cargo area, that will now be powered all the time.
Okay, so it's almost adjustable.
Yeah, if the fuse is in the factory setting, then when you turn your key off, the power's gone. With the Subaru Outback, got on YouTube and internet and just discovered what other guys were doing, but I had to kind of make a little jumper in the fuse box to keep that cargo area powered all the time, so that when I'm leaving my fridge overnight while I'm camping, it stays powered.
Yep, that's the same thing I had to do with my 4Runner. So you're already on YouTube watching this, so just find a way, you know, test it before you get out in the field. Find out if you turn your key off, if your 12 volt socket is going to kill power, because then your fridge won't be powered unless you have your car on. So if you want to leave your keys in your car and your car running, which is not a good idea. So, you know, find a way, make sure you think of that before you go out on the road with one of these. Okay, so first off, I wanted to thank Jeff for being on the channel and to show us his fridge collection. But there are 11 fridges here. And I got to ask you a question, Jeff. If you could only keep 3 fridges, I mean, what 3 would you want?
Well, that's a hard question. These are all my kids. Which ones do I get rid of? Well, I have to say that probably my favorite one is that ICECO VL45. Very efficient. Got the Zokop compressor. It's heavy duty. It's got the room I need. And it's around 45, 48 quarts. I can't remember what we measured it as. I like the chest style. All the same lid. Just looks good.
I feel like it has the thickest lid too.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely more insulated than some of the other chest models.
It's a little bit more expensive. But then if I need something that's bigger, like I got a longer trip, you know, this comes in handy. It's, you know, somewhere 65 quarts.
Yeah, so you got almost 20 more quarts in there.
But then you need a fridge for road trips.
Yep.
You know, you're not camping and you're just hoteling it. A combination between this one, which on the fridge itself only weighs 18 pounds.
Yeah.
This fridge weighs 25 pounds, a little bit bigger. This would fit really nice in the back seat of the Subaru because it would the chair would come right here.
Okay.
And so it'd hang out over the edge and not take up as much seat space there, and then open up like that.
And this one it doesn't hit the ceiling, right?
No,
It's very close.
This one does not hit the ceiling.
But your other one would. Yeah.
This one hits the ceiling and just kind of stops before it goes all the way to the top. So that's a little bit too tall. So,
Okay, so that would be your third one there, the Indel-B 30 quart.
Probably that one, this one, and I'm never gonna get rid of that one.
Yeah. Well, that's the one that started it all. So.
Yeah, and it still works really good, and there's a lot of sentimental value there.
So maybe we didn't talk about the insulated case for the VL45. Maybe you want to grab that really quick? So this is an accessory you can buy for the VL45 just to add to keep it from getting scratched, and also it has some insulation value.
Yeah, there's some padding in there. It's good quality. That cost me $69. So it's worth it if you don't want to get the outside of your fridge scuffed up. And I don't know how much it helps as far as the insulating ability, but maybe a little bit.
Well, as you can see, this is 12-volt compressor fridges are pretty awesome. I've definitely taken to love them. And to never have to have ice again on a camping trip, it's pretty awesome, especially if you have to drive 20-30 minutes to the nearest town to get ice mid-trip. You know, if you have a compressor fridge like this that runs off your car battery, you just start the car and charge it up, or you know, you can have pretty awesome portable battery systems that charge off solar panels. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of our battery setups, we all do have our portable batteries. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to put them in the description below, because we'd love to answer your questions. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this type of video. Just more of a relaxed, laid-back video about a pretty awesome collection of 12-volt compressor fridges. We'll see you around.